Hey, what's going on, guys? Nick Unsworth here, and welcome to the Product Launch Formula. And I'm so fired up for this because when I think about all of the cool things that have happened over the past about 3.5 years, one of the biggest success factors has been the Product Launch Formula. So, really excited to share it with you guys. And really, I guess we should probably more call it like the Product Launch on Fire. I think that might be a better name for it because it completely can set your life and your business on fire by doing a really good, high quality product launch. So, I'm going to get into the specifics as to what a product launch actually even means. And then we're going to talk through some steps on how you too can get one off the ground. And the beauty is that even if you're brand new in business, anybody can do a product launch. And the type of product launch I'm going to share with you guys here today is actually one of the most basic that even if you don't have experience, you can do this. And I'm going to prove to you that how me, a guy that wasn't even on Facebook, I didn't even have a Facebook personal profile, became a Facebook marketing expert without even having an actual Facebook personal profile. I mean, I studied the industry, I was knowledgeable on it, but I just took action. I used this formula to build up the brand incredibly fast. So I'll dive into that. And before I do, though, what I'd like to do is just to make sure that the audio is okay. So if you guys can hear me all right, just type in yes real quick. And we're going to have a couple shares going on here tonight. So we're going to put a couple people on the open mic. So if you have a headset, pop it on, or if you can, call in on the phone. But there's going to be a couple points here where I'd love to get some feedback. And for now, if you go over to the chat box, just type in where you're calling in from. I was just out in South Carolina. Do I have an accent right now, Ryan? Can you tell a little Southern twang?
No, did you pick one up from the like 48 hours that you spent in the South just now?
I was there for a good solid 48, and it was unbelievable. I never realized how thick the accent, is out there. But all right, sweet. So we got people from all over. Holy crap! All right, so San Jose, no accent. Sorry. All right.
Hey
Did you
guys,
find? Yeah.
if there's anybody that's experiencing any audio issues, sometimes if you're trying to listen through your computer speakers and you have your computer microphone on, you get that delay or that feedback loop that happens there. So maybe mute your microphone on your computer or plug in some headphones if you're having any audio issues. We got tons of people saying it's all good, but a couple people reporting it's a little having some trouble. So take a look at that, see if you're possibly getting some sort of little echo going on there.
Okay, cool. And that is my right hand man, Mr. Ryan Dewey. So everyone say hi to Ryan, and so he will be also manning the chat box. So there's a couple people saying, "Is this the chat box?" And yeah, we can see it. And for us, it's the questions box, but for you guys, you type it in the chat box, and we can see it. And don't worry, no one else can see it. So you can feel free to ask us anything that you want along the way. We're probably going to take more of the questions towards the end. But cool. So all right, audio is fine. People are saying that my accent's not coming through. So maybe I need to go back to South Carolina for a little bit longer. But
Yeah, you got
all
to
right.
work on it a little. Throw some y'alls in there and stuff like that.
A
Maybe
couple
do.
y'alls. There was a
Yeah.
love train last night with senior citizens that I ended up involved in, so that was really exciting. But anyway, so the agenda here today. So basically, by the end of this webinar or workshop, whatever you want to call it, I really want to make sure that you not only know the benefits of creating a product, but some steps, and you're pointing in the right direction how you can actually launch a product. And the cool thing is that when I say product, I mean this could be something like literally taking your information that's in your head and creating a product out of it. And there's something magical that happens when you take that information and you put a name on it and you make it look like a DVD case. It becomes something online. It becomes something that you can sell and you can take money in for. Now, not everybody on this webinar here tonight is an information marketer, so you can launch things like a new a new service at a spa in a local town. Right? It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be a book. I mean, launches are really just a term for it's a marketing experience, and it's a way to create buzz. It's a way to create lots and lots of marketing activity, and also create a little bit of urgency, a little bit of scarcity. And these are all psychological marketing tactics to help get people to make purchasing decisions fast. And that's the goal of all this, is that we want to help you guys sell more products faster. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the mistakes that you can make. I've made quite a few during launches. One that you got to be careful of is, you know, you don't ever want to create and invest a tremendous amount of time building a product or even a service and building it all out. I mean, I've seen people do this for months and months, and they put it all together. They work on it for so long. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then what happens? They go to sell it, and no one wants to buy it because they created something that they think the market wants, but they had no proof, no validation that anyone cared about what they were building. And I know because I've done it myself. I spent literally a year tinkering on this networking product, and I tried to sell it, and it was like pushing a boulder up a hill. It sucked. Um, so anyway, we're going to walk through, some of the things that you can do to kind of build as you go, how to create a product launch without any experience, how to package and deliver, and then I'll talk about affiliates and promotions. So that's pretty cool. I do have a little surprise for you, just because that's how we roll with Life on Fire. Ryan, this is also a surprise for you as well. So I like to keep Ryan just on his toes at all times. So what we're gonna do is we have a little raffle go.
Uh-oh.
We have a little raffle going on. So we're going to give out a couple prizes. And the thing is that we're going to have a survey that I'm going to walk you guys through at the end. So the survey at the end, it's designed for a couple things. One is it helps me and helps us figure out exactly what you guys are looking for, so I can create free content that's going to help add value in your lives. It could be a webinar, it could be a video that we're putting out on our new Life on Fire TV. The other thing is that we've got this Saturday blocked off. So Ryan and I, we decided before the end of the year, we're on a bit of a mission, and we decided to block off Saturday, and we're going to do the whole day of 30-minute strategy sessions. Actually, we technically call them 25-minute strategy sessions, but we're going to basically spend Saturday on the phone walking through strategy with a whole bunch of entrepreneurs like you guys and helping you to get really clear on what your product launch could be or what you could be doing as far as launching your product. And in addition to that, we're also going to, share a little bit of information about, we've got this 3-day event I just planned with my business coach, and it's unbelievable. Like, we're going to do the walking on hot coals. Turns out it's actually going to be in June. And so we're going to do it out here in San Diego, and we're going to talk about how we are going to take 5 people minimum. I really want to take more than 5. But we're going to take 5 people minimum, and we're literally going to, it's darn near close to partnering with them. And the mission and the goal is to create these ridiculous success stories and have them speak on our stage. And why would we want to do that? Well, on one hand, it would be, involved with a coaching relationship. We couldn't do this completely, pro bono. But the other hand is that the more success stories we create faster, and the more ridiculous those stories are, it obviously will help our clients, our coaching clients, but it also helps, I mean, selfishly speaking, it helps us with Life on Fire, because if we can take 5 people and they do 6-figure product launches within 6 months, and completely create life-changing revenue and completely change everything about their business and their lives, that is a huge deal, and that puts us, in a whole different level in the coaching industry. So, that's just another thing to keep in the back of your mind. So outside of that, as far as the survey goes, we're going to be giving away a GoPro HD Hero 3 thing. So this thing is, I don't even have a GoPro yet, so I'm like dying to get one. But these things are pretty bomb. They're great for video, could be great for a gift, but they're really, really cool. We've got some Life on Fire pint glasses we're going to give away, and then Life on Fire t-shirts as well. So, and look how much fun we're having in that picture. I mean, it was crazy. It sounds funny, but we went out, and I didn't even have to ask my friends to do this. They were like, one friend got a Life on Fire shirt because he spilled beer all over himself and needed something to wear out in the town. Gave him a Life on Fire shirt, and then everyone else at my little party wanted one, which was awesome. And then it's just hilarious wearing one of these shirts. We've had people, I mean, I've had people in airports stop me and just like say things like "Life on Fire, woohoo," or like, it's just funny. We went out in the town, like people were just digging the shirt, so it's cool. So at the end of the day, we want to help you live a life on fire, which is a life in business that you love, that kicks ass. So, what is an actual product launch? Basically, product launch at the end of the day is it's really just a marketing event to launch any good or service. And, in many cases, we're packaging our knowledge and we're putting that into something that is a product. And that's how you get so much more. value out of your own knowledge. For example, my dad is a commercial builder. He did it for 35 years. He built buildings, all over the East Coast, and that allowed him to make a great salary, a great living. But all that knowledge is still trapped between his ears. So, since he retired, he just wrote a book. That book is now his knowledge packaged, right? And that book could be a $10 Amazon book, or it could be a $150, college textbook, right? So he's going for the latter. But no matter what it is that you have to offer, you can package your knowledge into, shoot, it could be as simple as an ebook, could be as simple as a physical book. Now, for me, writing a book, that is a process and that is a huge endeavor. Whereas this product launch, on fire, this, webinar session, this literally could be something that we could take a 60, maybe 75-minute webinar like this, and we could take that and package this and sell it, right? So of course we're doing it for you guys for free because you guys are, on our email list. You are our friends and clients, and we're totally just trying to like add value for you guys. But this is something that we could sell. It could be as easy as just recording yourself for 60 or 90 minutes. So that's cool. Something also just to think about, product launches can be live or they can be what's called evergreen. So the way I look at it is anytime you're going to sell something, we always want to make sure that you're going to give yourself the best advantage. So if I was talking with, let's say, Johan Wallen from Smash It Social, right? And if he was like, you know what, I really want to just automate and I'm going to, create 4 videos and they're going to get my software and I'm going to sell it for, $1,000. Well, if you're just going to do that and, deliver it with videos and they don't get any access to them, that's cool, but it's going to be harder to convert. So when we're doing a product launch, I always, always, always recommend that you want to do it live. So one of the big mistakes is the rush to do things and automate too fast. Because I get people saying, well, I want to make that like passive income where you sit on a beach all day and money just like falls into your lap and comes into your bank account. And I hate to say it, but that's a bit of a pipe dream. That's what people sell in the industry, and it's a little bit of a fantasy. To create that kind of automation, it can happen, but you have to test stuff out first, right? So you really want to do a product launch live where you're giving, if you are going to give away knowledge, you're going to do your coaching or do your service, deliver it live so they get access to they can answer you can answer their questions, and then from there you can record it all and then sell it afterwards. It's kind of like when we do the 20-day challenge. We've done one for Facebook marketing, we've done one for video marketing. You notice that we delivered each coaching session completely live because we wanted to create, number one, we wanted to create a better environment for the customers. It adds more value, you can charge more for it, and it builds better community. Now, the other thing is that when we're done, we can take those recordings and then we can package them, right? And now, we have them available on our website. You know, you know, to be completely frank, it's not like people are they're not flying off the shelves if we're not promoting them, but they're still there. They're still, what's called evergreen. People could buy them on an ongoing basis. Evergreen, typically what that means, it's kind of like evergreen trees. You're selling them over and over and over and over. And a product launch could be a launch and then it goes evergreen where you're selling it on a consistent basis. The way I look at things in this market, um, the best bet is to sell live and to have an evergreen frequency. All that means is for us, we do the 20-day challenge 4 times a year. Boom. That's basically evergreen. It's live plus evergreen, right? So, and when I think about how did I come up with this model, or this, basically this business model, well, it was pretty easy. I first, and I'll tell you about what happened with the Facebook Mastery Summit from before, but if I go to socialmedia.com, I always talk about this site because they've done a phenomenal job launching a website, launching their brand, and launching the same strategy that I'm going to teach. So they have these, social media marketing world. They have these online summits, right? And for these guys, they're all delivered live. However, they happen like once a quarter as well. So it kind of is still evergreen. So you can still build a recurring income stream with a business that happens live, at a set frequency. Now, the other thing is that it could be a complete full-blown information product. It could be a physical product, that is like totally up to you. And So that is what a product launch is. So if there's any questions on that, feel free to type that in there. All right, all right. Vanessa Horn saying she loves her Life on Fire shirt. Awesome. Don't just wear it to bed. You got to wear it out. Okay, so what are the benefits of an actual product launch? So the benefits are that you're going to create the highest likelihood of getting conversions and making more money. That's the whole thing. So it's all about making more money. It's all about, building your list. And the thing is that it quote puts you on the map. So, when you do a product launch, especially in the, coaching or information or social media or internet marketing industries, when you do a product launch, it not only is appealing to consumers, but it's appealing to all of your peers. And why is that a benefit? It's a benefit because when you start being someone that is being seen around in the industry and you're making an impact, it gets other people to want to do business with you. So, as an example, my business coach, Suzanne Evans, I was just in South Carolina, and she is right in the middle of her product launch. She did something that's really cool. So I would say that Suzanne is kind of she's a crushes it, and she's kind of been doing her own thing. And I don't know, I mean, I know she has affiliates, but that hasn't really been her model, in my opinion, anyway. And so there's this whole opportunity to have other people cross promote, and that's called having an affiliate or a joint venture partner, where you do a product launch and then you get a whole bunch of other people to send you traffic, right? So if my business coach Suzanne is doing a launch and she's selling her brand new book, it'd be like me promoting for her, Ryan promoting for her, and hundreds of other people promoting for her. So that's awesome for her because that will, build an email list of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people. And she could monetize that all the way to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So there's a lot of people that have done 7-figure product launches. I personally have done multiple 6-figure launches. But what happens is that when you do this kind of a product launch, it puts you on the map. So for Suzanne, she did an outreach program and she reached out to, it was like 50 of the top, internet marketers, or what we would refer to as joint venture partners. This is friggin' brilliant. She sent them, if she knew that they were a big enough player, she sent them a blue Tiffany's box that had engraved Tiffany's champagne flutes, right? So we've got New Year's coming up. And when that kind of a box shows up and you're someone that is pretty much unreachable, and this is like, you're, someone that she's sending these to like the top New York Times best-selling authors and all these people that are really hard to get a hold of that probably wouldn't take the call. And whether they respond to her and promote with her or not, what happened is that she's making a splash, right? She's got all these people, and it was so cool. She was walking me through, like, all the people that have jumped on board, and she's got all these people that she didn't necessarily do business with before. She's got like a dozen major players that are now doing business with her and are going to promote her. And it's partly because she did an outreach and she's adding value for them. So if I just go to you guys and say, hey, will you promote my product launch? You're probably going to be like, what's in it for me? So you could start the relationship off by doing something nice, like sending a gift like that. And then you can follow it up by other things where, she's got a contest. You know, anyone that, wins her contest, she's got 3 different contests, and she's giving away, like a $50,000 speaker spot on her stage. She's giving away her coaching. She's giving away tons of stuff, but she's adding value for other people that participate. So the cool thing is that regardless of whether the person that received the box promotes for her or not, she now has a whole bunch of people in the industry that are looking at her, and a whole bunch of people in the industry that have even reached out and said, hey, I can't promote for you this month because it's like 2 weeks away, but I'd love to help in the future. And so she's doing something that's a little bit different too. So overall, the point is that when you do a product launch, you get all these people cross promoting for you. It's really good for consumers because you create that buzz. But again, putting yourself on the map in your own industry for joint ventures is equally important. The other thing is that when you do that, it creates that social proof and brand awareness. And people start saying things like, dude, I see you everywhere, right? Because we're going to use a multi-pronged approach, to market this thing. And that's one of the big impacts, is that your brand perception completely changes. And there's a value to that that's hard to quantify, but it's a game changer. And I'll share my story about how I launched my product. and I did it really fast. I did it, right as I got started in business. And it's like, why wait? You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so cool about this is why wait until you feel ready in like a year? It's like, screw it, just do it fast. And that's what this model is that I'm going to share with you. So, product launches are all about stories. And this is a huge aspect of marketing in today's day and age in video marketing, definitely in product launches, but it really is about creating a story. And so we're using stories in everything that we're doing. I mean, everything from the charity event that we're putting on, which is a really cool freaking story, which is this Sunday. So if you're in the San Diego area, is there anyone that's coming to that that's on the line that's in the San Diego or in driving distance? It's where we're giving away 100 Kindles to foster kids. Oh yeah, Stephen Tran, what's up? Awesome, man. Cool, 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 cool. All right, Raquel, Connie, working on making it. All right, all right. Sweet. Shanda, Lucy will be there next month. Okay, cool. Danielle, D Creek, she's in the house. All right, sweet. So cool. So it's really all about stories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be teaching concepts of a product launch as I share about exactly how I did mine. So what's cool is that you can model kind of some of the things that I've done and know that the whole purpose of this story is to basically educate on the product launch process. So my whole thing is that, my story with my product launch is that, I'm not going to go through all of the background, going way back, because many of you guys have heard my story. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to share things about how I launched this company and this product launch that I haven't really told anyone. So really my whole life as an entrepreneur, I have been chasing the dream and failing quite a bit. And it was all good because, I think of it as every failure leaves you closer to a success. So it's kind of like failing forward fast, right? And that's a really cool thing because if something doesn't work out, you realized, if something bombed and it didn't work out, I would actually be grateful that I figured it out sooner than later. It's kind of like if you're dating someone and then all of a sudden they turn crazy on you. It's like, you know what? Screw it. That's actually better because now I can cut my losses even faster. So it's like, trying to take the high road or the positive angle to everything. So, but I had some really, really hard knocks experience in my 20s. And so I was always just pursuing this lifestyle of financial freedom, time freedom, beachfront house, all that good stuff. And I just kept failing over and over. So I hit a point where, I was 27 and change, and I was in like completely debilitating $50,000 of debt. I was totally effed. I mean, it was like the kind of debt where, you go to bed at night and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to come up with the money to pay rent, but I've never been late in my entire life. And I don't plan on starting to be late on anything now. But it was just like, literally sleepless nights. I mean, it felt like I had a ton of bricks on my chest. It was awful. And, it's one of those things where how did I get in the debt? Well, I had a business that failed. That didn't help. But I also purchased a lot of internet marketing products and I was learning the industry for, because I knew that this was an industry that I wanted to be in. I knew that it was a growth industry. I was interested in it, but I had to buy a lot of products. So I didn't know anything about it. Um, so that's where I was, and this is where I was living, and I just pulled this up on my phone here today, and it actually looks, this is like the best picture I've ever seen. I think they just power washed it, but you know what? This is when I sold my car, so I like car's all shiny, the house looks all good, it's like sunny out, but this place was a dump. And it was in a really rough part of Hartford, and so I'm living in this really just crappy home. I did not have kitchen cabinets, didn't have a garbage disposal, no dishwasher. This is one of those things where it's like, you have cereal, you don't finish them. I've got my Captain Crunch and I haven't finished it, and it's like I've got to go over and I've got to pour that in the toilet. I mean, it was humiliating. But it was, I was stuck. I had a lot of debt and I had to do it. This is a my dining room wall I painted blue that I used for my brand, and I had to basically make this crazy decision. So my debt that I had to cover every month was 3,500 bucks in bills. And even though I had this crazy debt going on, I made one of the craziest decisions, and I took a huge leap of faith. And I watched this guy Eben Pagan, and he pretty much said that if you get to his event, he's creating success stories, and he just gave the hard sell. I mean, he was just like, if if you're trying to get out of this the situation that you're in, he's like, no matter where you're at, you could be a newbie, you could be experienced. I'm going to help you learn marketing, figure out how to market online, launch products, and finally build a freaking company. And I was like, oh my god, I have to do this. I would desperately want to be one of his success stories. I couldn't take it anymore. I need to get out of being broke like this. And so I made that decision. And I said, you know what? I'm going to find a way to get there. So I borrowed 2,500 bucks from my friend Laura DeMeo, and then I put my last $2,500 on Discover. That was my last little bit of room, and I made it happen. I got there. When I was so broke, I got to this event, and so I hired him as a coach or a mentor. And the way it worked is we had 4 different events we could go to. They were basically like mastermind events. And I went there, and I had to roll with protein mix in a sandwich bag. And everyone would go to lunch, everyone would go to dinner. I'd say, oh, I got to make a call, and I'd sneak off to my room and I'd whip up a little protein shake and come back. And it was crazy. I mean, I was that broke. Every time they swiped my card to the hotel, they took that extra $200, and I literally would be sweating bullets. Like, please don't decline. I don't want to sleep in the lobby. I mean, it was that bad. And so once I did that, the one thing that I did, and this is important. There's one person in particular. I won't mention the name, but um, it's when you're in that kind of a funk, it's like you have to keep the smile on your face. The only person that knew I was going through that was me. My girlfriend at the time, she didn't know. My parents were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're like, we didn't know that, that was going on, and why didn't you tell us?" I'm like, I was embarrassed. I don't want to tell you. Oh man, figure it out. And but the most important thing is, imagine if I went there and I was a victim and I was asking people for handouts. They never would have respected me. I never would have gotten business out of it, right? So the one thing I did right is that I just believed in myself enough when I went there. And this all ties back to a product launch because you have to have a very deep sense of belief if you want to do the product launch. And we all have unique gifts and talents and things that we want to do, but if you don't have that deep sense of belief in yourself, then you're going to find ways to screw it up. You're going to find ways to self sabotage yourself anyway. So here's me. This was about 30 pounds heavier. I think becoming successful somehow slimmed me out. But I kept a smile on my face. No one knew I was going through that. The other thing, this was this was one time where I did kind of get stuck going out to dinner with a bunch of people I met at the event. It was Katie Freiling, Jonathan Budd, Laura DeMeo, Raven Starr, and a bunch of cool people. And this was one of those things where I'm going out to dinner and I'm being very lean with what I'm ordering because I literally didn't have any money for it. And I was scared to death that that someone wasn't going to pick up the tab. I didn't want to ask anyone, but long story short, thank God someone picked up the tab. So I mean that's how bad it was. And I hit a point where in that spot, I had the mastermind behind me. I had people I met at the event. So I had to take what I call inspired action. I had to cover these bills. I had to make that decision to finally, launch this business, get out of thinking mode. I had to literally stop thinking, stop learning, and just get into decision mode and inspired action mode. So I looked around, and I did not even have a Facebook personal profile. You can look at my Facebook personal profile and scroll all the way down the timeline, and you'll look at it. I started my Facebook profile in 2010, right after I started this business. And so it's crazy. So I looked around, and sometimes I've got a whole bunch of coaching clients now that are in figure out their niche mode. And at some point, you kind of just have to take that leap of faith and inspired action and just pick the niche. Because if you don't, you're going to plan and plan and plan forever. And you're better off going towards something and taking action because the motion creates motion, and something's going to shake loose, and you're going to learn, or you're going to find out what you don't want to do. You're better off finding that niche is wrong for you than sitting and waiting a year and just not being sure which is right or wrong for you. So I chose to do social media marketing, and the reason was because I had been in industries where the timing was bad. So I learned, industry going down is bad. And then I figured social media marketing was so new that that's probably good timing. So I said social media marketing. Then I narrowed it down further and said, you know what, I need to narrow my niche. That was one of the big takeaways from Evan Pagan, was that you have to narrow your niche so that you can create a name for yourself and build the brand. It's like, you know, when someone says Marie Andros, boom, video marketing, right? When someone says Alan, Smoothie Allen, with a Y. Right? So we want to make sure that whatever your topic is, when someone says your name, you can instantly call out that one word answer. Nick Unsworth, boom, Facebook. Yes, I've moved into business coaching, but I still use Facebook marketing as my hook. So, you know, from there, I mean, it was simple as having the personal brand. This is, some of you guys have seen this part. But at the end of the day, when you're doing your product launch, the little takeaways is you just want to have your brand be congruent. Literally just very minute details like, the fact that this was my, living room background wall as blue, and but the same blue is on my website and the same blue is on my Facebook page as on my business card. It didn't look good. I mean, it's a social media training that will blow your socks off. I mean, this was like me just taking imperfect action, right? So that inspired imperfect action is really, really key to just get into motion and to just do it, right? Because even if you don't hit the numbers you want to hit, it's about experiential learning. Like right now, you guys are learning by hearing me and you're learning by visually by looking at the screen, but you could be doing three other things right now. Your brain could be filled with all kinds of other stuff. And at the end of the day, this stuff seeps in when you go into action. That's why we're doing the survey. That's why we're doing coaching. That's why we're pulling people towards, becoming success stories and being on our stage, because it really just revolves around the action. So personal brand is really key for your business. Just make it look the same. You can see how bad mine was and it still worked. And from there, I just jumped in. I got the local clients. I took action. But the most important, I'm not going to get into the detail about that. The most important part is how did I get past the six-figure mark? And the reason I did was because I launched the Facebook Mastery Summit. And the Facebook Mastery Summit was a complete game changer. And this is exactly the same strategy where there's different types of product launches, but in this case, this is one that anybody can do, and you literally don't have to have experience. That's why I freaking love it, because it revolves around other people's content, OPC, other people's content. So I'll explain exactly how I did the Facebook Mastery Summit and how you can take the same concept and just do it for your niche. It doesn't matter if you're in health and wellness. You could be a photographer. You could be in the wedding planning industry and do it. You could be, shoot, you could do this and be in the beauty salon or spa industry. So the cool thing is that you're using other people's content and you're leveraging celebrities in your niche. And I'll explain exactly what this looks like. So this is the simple launch strategy. So the outcome that you want is
Hey, Nick,
yeah,
real quick. Sorry, we've got a couple people saying that there's audio out. You sound fine to me. Guys, how's it sound on your end?
no audio. Bum, bum, bum.
Fine, good, good, fine, great. Was out for a minute. Okay, all right.
Okay, cool.
Making sure we're all good. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Thanks. So how about for a pet designer? So a pet designer, I don't know, pet designer, that to me could be, I mean, if you're designing like clothes for pets or you're designing, probably not designing actual pets unless you're like breeding them or something weird, but um, but fashion. Okay, cool. So think of, all right, so this is an interesting one. So Lucy says, yes, pet fashion, right? So imagine if she went out and got like a she interviewed a couple like celebrities that have pets with really cool fashion. And so if I'm Lucy and I design clothes for pets, instead of trying to like pound the pavement and like sell them retail and go door to go to like trade shows all the time, and yeah, you probably want to do some of that stuff, but that's like a lot of work. Or it's like if you get that couple of celebrities that have the dogs that are carrying them in their hands and stuff, and it's like they're wearing Lucy's pets clothes, then that right there is your huge endorsement, right? It's getting there, what we call as an anchor client, someone that has major influence, that if you can get them to wear your stuff, or you can get them to have their pets wear your stuff, that could be a game changer. So as crazy as it sounds, you could actually have, maybe they're not Paris Hiltons, but you could maybe end up, there's B-list celebrities, there's other people, there's people that are like renowned vets or people that have experience in the pet industry. You would literally just look at the pet industry and think of who are the influencers that people would be interested to hear about. And if you went to a handful of those types of people and you would create a compelling reason why they should be on your, pet fashion teleseminar, right? And it's or webinar so that there's visuals behind it, and it's like literally all about like trending pet fashions, and you've got different pet experts, you've got someone that has, that has information about what you should be feeding your pet to get the best coats. There's all the the pet competitions where they run around, on the leashes and jump through all the hoops. There's so many influencers in the pet industry. You get 10 of those different people and you get them to spend 30 minutes virtually talking into a phone to you, and all of a sudden Lucy comes out of nowhere and is like, wow, she's the creator of the, first annual Pet Expo Summit online or whatever it's called, right? And that becomes a thing, right? And it'll get a little bit more clear as I explain the Facebook Mastery Summit. But the Facebook Mastery Summit was something that I just planted the flag in the ground. I said, I'm going to be the founder and the creator of the Facebook Mastery Summit. And what was so awesome about that is that that's how I claimed my space as a Facebook expert, because I was the dude that created the Facebook Mastery Summit. Now, how did I get this strategy all together? Well, the thing that was cool is that I just simply looked around and I modeled the strategy. So, so the summits are a little bit more common now in the internet marketing industry, but if you're in a niche like the pet industry, dude, you could create um, this pet summit, and I'm going to walk through a strategy and how you can raise money for charity. You could raise money for like saving pit bulls, or for the shelters and things like that for pets. And you could get pet people on this thing like crazy. You could make it really viral. Could do tons of stuff with pictures and different things. Get people submitting photos of their pets for. I mean, there's so much stuff you could do, but you could be the creator of that big annual, or maybe it's a biannual or quarterly event where you're driving major traffic. And then, oh, Lucy just happens to be the person that has like this sweet, clothing line for pets. So all I did was I got started, and this is what every single person needs to do. I will break down these in steps in a little bit, but this is kind of me going through my story and my logic, and then I'll put some 10 actual steps behind it. But I got started and I looked around, and it's like, who are your competitors? Now, I love this site. I love the dude that built it. I love his book called Launch. If you guys want to jot down the book, Launch, we will have it in our book club, because he launched his business and his summits, and he did a really good job explaining literally a step by step process how he did it. So that book is great. So the whole thing is that um, I looked around at my competitors, and instead of me trying, I mean, here I was, a guy that I wasn't even on Facebook yet. I mean, I had to figure out how to actually use Facebook. Imagine what people would say to me, whereas like, are you kidding me, Unsworth? You're not even on Facebook, and you're a Facebook expert? And I was like, yeah, I know I'm not on it, but I mean, I bought all these courses, and I really, I'm figuring out how to market on it. I may not be like a power user on it. I may only have 9 friends right now, but I'm going to figure out how to market on it. So for all the people that look at it and say, Nick, who am I to just be the expert? It's never about your exact experience, because there's always a lack of confidence when you start out in business where you're like, I couldn't charge that much, or who am I to say I'm an expert? And it comes down to you're only going to coach or teach people that know less than you. So if Danielle Ray, that has built 2 spas and built them up and built a book of business, and if she wanted to go out and coach someone and charge them 2 grand a month for business coaching, it's like, on one hand, someone could say, well, who the heck does she think she has to charge that much money? And it's like, well, look at her experience, look what she's done. And someone that hasn't gone through what she's gone through, that's worth 5 grand a month. Forget two, right? And so it's all about coaching people that know less than you. So that's how I made that decision to jump in. And again, it comes back to that just belief in myself. I mean, that's one of those things where I'm 50 grand in debt. I'm living in a dump, and I had to at least believe in myself, because if you don't, I mean, you're pretty much just thrown in the towel. So then I just simply looked around and I looked at my competitors. And so Social Media Examiner, this was a general site. So I looked at it and said, well, they do these social media summits, and they put on 15, 20 different experts, and all those experts are like Twitter expert, LinkedIn, Facebook, all kind. It's just a complete, you know, mosh pit of experts. And then you buy the thing for, like, at the time it was $500, and then you get all these live sessions. And it adds a lot of value because you learn all about social media marketing. So all I did was I looked at something that was clearly working because I bought it. And I also realized that, everyone that bought it gets put into a LinkedIn group. And after the first one, it was like, holy crap, this dude did 1,500 units in plus. I knew that, you know, I was one of 1,500 people that bought his first summit. So 1,500 times $500 is a good chunk of change. So I looked at that and I could start to make it an expectation as to what I could put together myself. So I said, listen, if I don't do 1,500, but I did a couple hundred or a few hundred, that'd be pretty good. So I just looked at what they were doing, and it wasn't just him. I didn't just copy him, word for word. It was a modeling exercise. So you know who your competitors are. I was like, I want to be like this, like them. And then I also looked at it and said, I want to be like Mari Smith. And Mari Smith, she had turquoise in her brand. She had a little button with an M, right? And for me, my button had an NU, and my colors were then blue. And so again, I modeled who I wanted to be. So if you know if you haven't figured out exactly who your competitors are or who you want to strive to be like, then it's a really important exercise. And I don't mean their personality. So I don't mean, I want to, you know, be like her on video. I want a business model like hers. I want a website or a brand like how she's built her brand. She literally, got in a magazine and they called her the Pied Piper of Facebook. I don't even know what Pied Piper even means, but she marketed that all over the internet. And I mean, you're talking huge speaking engagements with major companies. So I said, all right, I want to be like that. So I modeled these two, and then I just simply created the Facebook Mastery Summit. So Facebook Mastery Summit, I had a little opt-in, and then once they opted in, I wanted to add value. So one of the steps is that in putting on a summit like this, you want to basically make it easy for people to get to the content. And let me show you guys what they got. So this is a sales letter page. I'm not a copywriter, and most likely, you're not a copywriter either. However, all I did was I looked at other people's copy that they've spent tons of money on, and I figured, okay, I need a headline, and I put discover how to use Facebook to attract more free customers that call you, guaranteed. And this thing crushed because I did guarantee this product. And so I noticed patterns. I noticed that, in some of the salesers, they would say, what is it? What's in it for them? And they had all these different, you know, bits of content. So what I did is I then, went out and I got speakers. So I had all these different speakers like Mike Koenig's. Peter Heffering is a huge company that they manage social media for some of the largest brands in the world. Dave Foster from Fan Page Engine, Brian Moran, Get 10,000 Fans, Brian Carter, Amy Porterfield. And this was way back before, Amy Porterfield was, as successful as she is, and so all I did was I wasn't necessarily the guy that had all the answers or the best content. No one who knew who the heck I was. However, I just reached out and I went and got people onto the actual Facebook Mastery Summit. So, oh, where is that? Oh, here we go. I just reached out and I got them to be the experts for me. So this is what's so cool about this strategy is that they were the experts. I called myself an expert too, and I did my sessions, but I was just the curator. It was like, a museum curator is the one that they put the paintings in the museum, and they're the ones that are bringing stuff in and putting stuff out. And all I did was I just hand selected people that had way more influence than me. So, can you guys see how, even though if you're new to the industry or you might already be very successful, but even if you're successful, This is a strategy where you're just taking other people's talents and you're positioning yourself next to them. So the fact that I had my head right next to Amy's, right next to Mike Koenig's, and these are all people that, they had lists, they had influence, they had different levels. He was kind of my anchor. As soon as I got Mike Koenig's, this was at a time where this guy was doing, literally, he was doing a one product launch and pulling in $7 million. I did six figures as an affiliate for him twice. And so this was when the market was booming and he was one of the biggest names. And he still is a complete rock star, this guy. But all I did was I went out and I just asked him the question. I literally just messaged him on Facebook and I wrote up a really friendly thing, kind of the same way Suzanne Evans, my coach, sent the Tiffany's champagne flutes to other people, right? I just reached out to him and said, "Hey, what's going on, Mike? Listen, I'm, Nick Gunsworth. I'm a Facebook marketing expert. I'm putting on this really cool online event called the Facebook Mastery Summit. All I'm looking for, 30 minutes of your time. You don't have to travel. I'm going to market this. I'm guaranteeing we're going to have over, 1,000 people that opt in for it. I'm going to have more than, 300 people live on your call." And I'm pulling, that was stuff that, I was making, projections, if you will, but I was kind of acting as if I was like, what, I came in with a little bit of manufactured confidence, and it was my first time. But if this guy thinks it's my first time doing this, he's gonna say no, right? It's like if you go into, your first sales call or first meeting or speaking engagement, whatever, and you're kind of, tail between your legs, and you're kind of, you have to just have the belief in yourself and kind of act how you would think you should act going into it. So and I looked at it, and quite frankly, he blew me off. And then I came back and I asked him again, and then I got him on the phone, and he wasn't crazy about this because he's a busy guy. And I said, "Well, how can I make this work for you? How can I make this offer more interesting for you?" And he said, "Well, Nick, quite frankly, if I'm not getting paid to speak, then I need to sell my products on this." And I was like, "Boom, done. No one can sell their products on this summit, but how about if you're the one exception? Because you're Mike Koenig's and you're my freaking hero." I didn't say hero, but can you see what I'm saying? Where you make this an extra juicy offer for one person, right? So I got him to say yes. As soon as this guy said yes, my life got really, really easy. Want to know why? Because I didn't bother any of these people. I only talked to one guy. As soon as I got the one guy, I went back and I then reached out to all these people. The cool thing is my next after him, I went straight to Ryan Dice. So Ryan Dice is the other like mega name in the industry, and I just messaged Ryan Dice. I said, "Hey man, listen, I've been following your work. I'm one of your customers. I really love what you're doing, and I'm noticing that you're doing really well on Facebook, and I'm really digging what you're doing. I'm a Facebook marketing expert." And I was like, "Listen, I just got Mike Koenig's. He's speaking on my Facebook Mastery Summit, and I'd love to have you speaking there too." And he responded literally within like 15 minutes. And he reaches out and he's like, "Hey man, I love the hustle, and yeah, I'd love to, but to be honest, Shane Stearns is my guy. He does all of our Facebook, but I'm happy to give you Shane Stearns." Perfect. I positioned that, and I ran ads to people that like Ryan Dice. I ran ads to people that like Mike Koenig's. I ran ads to people that like Amy Porterfield, right? So it was, once you have one, it is unbelievably easy to get everybody else, right? So here's the thing. The hardest part is the guts to send the freaking message. It's the guts to pick up the phone and call, right? And that all comes back to inspired action. If you're doing this because you're like, "Yeah, I'd like to make a few extra bucks," that's one thing. I did it because I needed to. I did it because I knew that this was going to set my business apart. I knew that this was going to be my break, right? And I had inspired action going into it. The other thing is that I knew that I deep down, and I'm going to share a story about how I used to anchor my belief, because when you're really down and out, or if you're just kind of in like a limbo stage and you're doing good but you're not really growing, I'm going to teach you a strategy in a little bit about how you can anchor a moment when you were on fire in your past and you use that to fuel you moving forward, because you need something to give yourself the confidence and the boost to make some of these actions happen. So it's so funny. I mean, it's so easy. You just reach out to the people. It's like Michael O'Neill. He's like a badass podcaster. He came out of nowhere like a bat out of hell. Love this guy. and his podcast in 3 months, he's got over 100,000 downloads, and he got the number one guy in podcasting on his show, Adam Carolla, the Man Show guy, the Zigazaggy guy. And so I'm like, dude, how on earth did you get Adam Carolla on your show? And he's like, I just asked him, what'd you think I did? And I'm like, all right, okay, no, no, that makes sense. And but he appealed to his hot buttons, right? He didn't just say, hey Adam, like he went into it a little bit more cordially. He knew that Adam is a car buff and this guy Mike is a car buff. And so when Adam posted a pic of like a 19 like 50 something Porsche, Mike just said something clever about it, about the fact that he has one too, and he made a joke about the headlights or something like that. And next thing you know, they're in a conversation on Twitter. And that's the beauty of right now in this day and age for you or for me. We have this uncanny ability to reach anyone we want. So when Lucy the pet fashion woman says, how the heck am I going to reach a celebrity about this? It's like, Lucy, it has never been easier, actually. You engage in a conversation on Twitter and you can find, I mean, they're all on Twitter, they're all watching their own, they're all doing their own tweets, and you just need to find their hot button. You know, is it, um, you know, is it somehow, giving your pet fashion clothes to them, or mailing it to them, or talking about it to them, or photoshopping their own dog with your clothes on it, or who knows what it is, being, getting a little bit, or shoot, just asking them to be on your summit, either way. And so the cool thing is that get the one anchor, and then everyone else was easy. I was reaching out to people like Amy Porterfield and Brian Carter, Brian Moran. These people had no idea who the heck I was. As soon as they saw his name, they were saying yes, sight unseen, sight unseen. This also now happens to me. Now I'm a guy that people wanted to get me on their summit, and I had a woman, Robin. I think I mess up her last name, but Mike and Robin Picata, I think, and they, I would say, are in the same boat where all they did was they got the one name. They got this guy named Larry Wingett, who's like this big name in personal development, and Larry charges like 50 grand to speak on a stage. He's like a beast like that, best-selling author, this and that. And I'd never heard of them before, but all I saw was very good, clean graphic design, like, I mean, beautiful graphic design. And I saw Larry Wingett, boom, in sight unseen. And they got me to commit to doing 2 emails for them. They got me to commit to, status updates. I mean, I had to do a whole bunch of stuff for them. I send them tons of opt-ins, probably send them 500 opt-ins just for having little old me on there, right? So that also ties into one of our steps, is that one of the things that's super important is that you really, really, really want to have design that's decent. So I went to a guy, this cost me 500 bucks for all the different design. And, I said to this guy, Francisco, I said, listen, man, I'm on like a shoestring budget and I need this to look like a big deal. And here's what I got, right? And I still think this thing looks cool. It looked fancy. It looked different. It looked better than, some people do one of these summits, and if their design looks like hell, who's going to want to be a part of it? I don't want to put my face in this lineup if it looks like if it looks like this, right? So graphic design is freaking huge and super super important. Now, so the cool thing is that I'm positioning other people's content, and I don't have to know anything about Facebook marketing by having their content on there. So basically, this is on the design side, like this photo, taking this and uploading it to Facebook and tagging all of these people was ridiculous, because they're all in the photos, they're all part of it. It created community amongst the speakers, and it created a tremendous amount of traffic back to this. And then, of course, talked about the link to get people to opt in. So the good thing is that
And
you
Nick,
can,
we've
yeah,
got
yeah.
a great we've got a couple questions that are all very similar. Basically, people are asking, do you ask them to mail their list? And what are the parameters around how far in advance you want to reach out and start organizing the thing? So
Yeah, this is really, really good. Great question. And so here's the thing. The reason you get these people on here is you get your anchor, and your anchor you treat like royalty. So for this guy, I didn't ask him to mail his list. I didn't ask him for anything. I'm like, listen, man, come on here. Yeah, you can sell your stuff. I mean, he could do whatever he want. I mean, I would have been his butler for a week if I had to, right? Get the one name. And then once you got the one name, you go out, and if Amy Porterfield, if she was like, listen, my calendar's full, I'm really not going to mail, I'd make a judgment call. She's got a great name. I could run ads to people that like her Facebook page. I could still bring in, by having her on here, that creates benefit. I could have a great session with her. People love her. I would still take her even if she didn't mail. So there were people that did not mail, right? Um, so that's okay. But what I did do is I, kind of gave the strong arm to David Foster. This guy has Fan Page Engine. He built himself like oh my God, like a 50,000 person email list. He had a nice little software company, still does. And he became kind of like my right hand guy. Like he kind of really got behind this thing. And I mean, he did more than half the opt-ins that I got. But Zach Johnson, yeah, contract. I had a little speaker agreement that he had to cross promote. Brian Moran cross promoted, Brian Carter cross promoted, everyone cross promoted, meaning they sent what's called a solo email. It's an email that is just about this summit to get people to opt in. So the purpose of this is what creates the launch buzz, is that if Nick is doing a Facebook Mastery Summit with just Nick, no one really is going to know about it. And I didn't have a list. You know what I'm saying? I had gotten clients in my local market, but I didn't have a list. Now, for these guys, they all had lists. So again, you're asking people with influence. So when you put them on the summit, all they have to do is they show up for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, you do the content with them, and you do it virtually. I use GoToWebinar. You can even be more low cost. You can do a Telus summit, which is just a phone line. And you know what? When I do my next one, after it's going to happen after the first of the year, I'm not going to use GoToWebinar, and I've got the most ridiculous strategy, and I'm doing the same thing, leveraging the experts, right? So I'm taking Gary Vaynerchuk, and I paid for his time. So that, for me, he's my anchor, Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm going to leverage his name, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get like 20 other major authors and other speakers and gurus and people, right? And everyone's going to have to commit to doing like 2 emails. They're going to have to commit to 2 status updates contractually. But um, I'm also going to have prizes. I'm going to have 3 different tiers where I want people to promote this even if they're not speaking on it, right? Because there'll be a revenue opportunity. And I'm going to base all the prizes for these affiliates, they're technically affiliates, based on how many opt-ins they have. So, you know, um, if I had, Mike Koenigs and Brian Moran on there and Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm going to say that anyone that brings in over 500 opt-ins is going to, get a chance to win something. I'm going to have cash prizes. I'm going to have incentives that are unique. And that's one of the, when you're getting affiliates or you're getting people to promote for these, a mistake I see a lot of people make is, yeah, they'll go and they'll get the speakers. Great, nice work. And yeah, they'll even contractually be obligated to send an email. Again, nice work. However, why the heck not make it fun and make it a contest? So that instead of Amy sending one email because she has to and she's like, meh, I really don't feel like doing this. Instead, what if she got excited to win the prize you have and she goes out of her way to send the 6th in the 7th email, right? That's where you really hit the sweet spot in a launch, where you give someone those prizes. So me being me and being a little bit crazy, I've done a product launch where we did over $500,000, and I gave away, it was either an Aston Martin, or you could take $75,000 in cash, because there was an Aston Martin there was a whole bunch of them that were at 75 grand. So that was the whole thing. But that was me making a splash in the industry, because everyone's saying, holy shit, this Unsworth guy is giving away an Aston Martin for his product launch. So I got all these gurus to look at me and say, wow, we'll promote this thing. So you don't need to give away an Aston Martin. You can give away things that are much smaller. You can give away something that's unique. In my case, I'm going to give away like my own coaching time. I'm going to see if we can't leverage, do some Facebook ads for some of these people, because, for me, that's a way where I can add value for someone that, might have more influence than me. Also going to give away, some cash prizes. Going to give away just some little prizes. Could be GoPros and a couple iPads. And if you're brand new, when I did this, I mean, I was giving away a couple iPads. I didn't have a lot of money to spend at this stuff. So you can get creative, but having the prizes and giving them an incentive to want to promote more is really smart. So, and just one little tidbit while I'm kind of on the topic of what we're going to do. It's going to be about March because we're going to really plan it out. Is um, when we do this, I'm going to get the speakers. I'm going to have a theme, and so notice my theme was Facebook Mastery Summit. That was my hook, right? You've got to have a theme. If it's just a mosh pit of speakers and it doesn't have a theme, it's going to be no good. Lucy wants to be the pet theme. Shane and Ryan Skelly want it to be like Facebook advertising theme. You want to narrow your niche, and so when I do it, the interesting thing is going to be um, uh, in you can either do this as a list build or you can do it for sale. So I guess what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna walk through this as a list build, this one as a sale. It's actually charged 500 bucks for people to attend this. However, if you're just getting started out, you may want to do this as just a list build with no sale at the end. Part of the reason is because you can build up your email list and then you can sell stuff to them anyway. Um, but if you do this and then you're selling a product, sometimes these people will be less likely to want to participate. Sometimes, if you're not good at selling products yet, you may want to wait on that. But in my case, I figured that, I got all these people there. It wasn't my own content. I built my first 5,500 people on my list. That was crazy. I created instant borrowed authority and I did over $100,000 in revenue in the night. Now, what I'd love for you guys to do is I actually have a link that you would die if you see the actual webinar that I did. And you can hear my voice and you can hear what happened. And I do have it. I'll put it in the chat box if anyone wants to. I'm assuming the video pops on. But what I did was I actually have the recording of the webinar from that night, and I will never forget this for the rest of my entire life. But what I did was I had people, everyone promoted, right? The opt-in. They would opt in, and then what happened was as soon as they opted in, they got to a video. This video was called 21 Ways to Triple Your Fans. Then we had we had like a 2-day delay, and we created anticipation. Anticipation is really key in a product launch. So we had all these people commenting and, this is really cool and this and that. And then from there, it took them to video 2. And video 2 was about how to do contests. And this stuff was partly my content, it was partly content from other people. And you'll notice I took the time where I had this little intro made. It cost me a couple $100, but it made it look like a real thing. It made it look like professional. And then so I took them from video 1 to video 2 to then a free webinar. And the free webinar was how I was going to sell the actual tickets to this. So, and I want to make sure it's really, really clear that there's 2 ways to do a summit like this. You're either going for a sale or you're going to go for a list build. In this one, I wanted to make a lot of money and I went for the sale. I'll then talk through the list building one, which is, this did build a list, but you can do this without having to sell anything and you can still make a lot of money from it. So then I went and did a free webinar, and the free webinar, I put it in the chat box. You can listen to this thing. And as I go through, I didn't know how to sell on a webinar, right? I had just heard what other people had done on webinars, and I studied people that did sell on their webinars. So, when they opened with an agenda, I just modeled what other people were doing. And so I noticed how they were selling at the end, right? So I just kind of modeled that. And so as I make my offer and I have urgency bonuses and I go and do this whole thing, I set it all up where it was such a juicy offer that I had well over 100 people. It was like 180, and then we had more people that trickled in like later that night. And what happened was all these people were clamoring to buy this course, Facebook Mastery Summit. And so when I finally I'm like, listen, here's what's going to happen. Grab your credit card, do this and that. I'm going to put the link on the screen, and when I pop it up, then you're going to go, and it's all going to be first come first serve, and you can grab, you can buy your ticket to the Facebook Mastery Summit. And I had so many people click the link at the same time that I put the link up, and I click on it, and all of a sudden my screen is just thinking and thinking and thinking. And I say to Dave Foster, I go, man, wouldn't that be something if it crashed my server? And I go, I literally upgraded my server just to try and just make sure I don't screw anything up. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, dude, I think you crashed your server. And sure enough, I literally crashed my server that night on the webinar. You can hear my reaction where I'm thinking like, oh my God, like this is like my whole launch, right? And I somehow on the fly just made a joke about it. And I realized that my shopping cart was not connected to my website. So I just logged into Infusionsoft, grabbed the shopping cart link, and I said, hey, dudes, just go to this link. And then I had so many people buy at the same second. It was unbelievable. And I will never forget looking at my Outlook and just seeing pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of people that purchased at $500 all within the same minute. I had people that purchased 3 times. They were so excited. I had people that put in their credit card numbers wrong 9 times in a row. It was unbelievable. I had people that sent emails that said, I've never typed so fast in my entire life. And the reason was because I did a really good freaking launch. And how did that happen? It's because I got the excitement in the buzz building because I had all these people promoting about the Facebook Mastery Summit. So it creates the perception that this is something that people wanted to buy. Then they opted in, and in this case, they opted in, and I took them through. This is, I would call it more of like a Jeff Walker style funnel. You do this if you're going to sell. So then they opted in. I gave them free content. I gave them video one. This was literally the best content I had. And it's funny, I was on a coaching call the other day and they're like, should I give like my best stuff? And, it's like, and she is like a rock star with PR. And it's like, yeah, give them everything. Give them the things that you say, well, why would they need me? Give them your best stuff. So in video one, I gave literally my best stuff. In video two, I gave them my best stuff. And it was stuff that I had learned. It's stuff that, I'd figured out, it's stuff that I, pulled, I had Dave Foster in with me on the webinar because I didn't have all tons of my own best stuff. So I had used his best stuff. But at the end of the day, it was such good content that I built a really good rapport with them so that when we did the free webinar, they were so much anticipation. They wanted this thing. They were asking buying questions. How much is it already? I want it. And then when we finally did the webinar and we had a really juicy offer that night that was scarcity and urgency bonuses, and that's a whole nother kind of discussion, which is how to sell on these things. Um, we created that kind of literally server crushing traffic, at that moment and did 6 figures. And that for me, that not only put me on the map, but branding wise, but that finally gave me money. I mean, can you imagine the feeling of pulling in that kind of money and being able to like, take that money, pay off debt. We did end up in some, scenarios with my merchant account. That this is another one, just a tip. My merchant account, they were not anticipating that much revenue, so the merchant account actually withheld 35%. So just as a tip, I want you guys to jot down PayPal Advantage, and PayPal has been a freaking blessing. That was my man Ryan's idea, and they are the best merchant provider I've ever worked with. They have not given us a hard time about anything. We don't have to pre-approve what we're selling, and everything goes through. They do not hold reserves. It has been a major blessing. So if you're going to sell anything, then PayPal Advantage is phenomenal, especially if you're going to do launches and you're going to have lots of revenue. But if you're talking, when we did our, $500,000 launch, we definitely reached out. We definitely prepped them and said, hey, we're going to do a bunch of orders. Just make sure you're not going to, cut off the shopping cart on us. That's another huge mistake I've seen people make. But this paints a picture of doing a product launch where you do a telesummit like this, where you pull other people's information and content, and then you position their information. And I sold. I mean, how crazy is that? I sold their information. Didn't even have my own knowledge in this. Okay, so that's one way to do it. The other is you come through and you put it together. And what I'm doing this, after the new year, I am not selling anything. So I'm going to walk you through this model. Maybe just jot down a couple notes because this to me is like I'm not gonna lie. I think that this might be some of my best late night thinking here. I told my business coach, and she just about fell off her chair because it's such a bomb strategy. Like, and no one's done it either. So I'm gonna do it. You guys, I implore you to do it as well. But so check this out. I'm gonna do the exact same model. Have Gary Vaynerchuk, my business coach, God bless her. She says, Nick, you can do better than that. She goes, why don't you get a bigger name than him? I'm like, a bigger name than Gary Vaynerchuk? She's like, yeah. She's like, you're not even pushing yourself. And that's why you guys need a business coach, because she up leveled me in like 2 seconds with that conversation. And I go, like who? And she goes, well, isn't one of your end outcomes to fill up, your live event that's 3 days and you're going to walk on hot coals? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, who do you think would like to be there walking on hot coals? I'm like, I don't know, people that like Tony Robbins. And she's like, yep. And I'm like, how am I going to get Tony Robbins? And she's like, just ask him. I know you can get Tony Robbins. Find a way. She said, find a effing way, right? So for me, that instantly up-leveled me where I'm like, okay, now I'm going to have to go get Tony Robbins. But can you see how me having Tony Robbins on one of my little squares here is going to dramatically change the brand and the business of Life on Fire, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, same thing. Getting him as a speaker, that changes things. And so how am I going to get Tony Robbins? I'm not going to pay for Tony Robbins, right? I paid for Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm not doing that for Tony. I'm going to go to Tony and I'm going to say, hey, dude, I've got Gary Vaynerchuk. I want to have you on the Life on Fire Summit. And here's why. I've been following your stuff since 2004. You dramatically changed like my mindset, my life, and I'm going to walk through some crazy cool things because I have listened to Personal Power over and over and over. Like when I was 50 grand in debt and I was literally depressed and damn near want to throw myself off a bridge, I had to listen to him every single day, and that kind of helped me believe in myself and get through it. And so I'm going to share that stories about that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, listen, you would be only required for 30 minutes. Now, 30 minutes of his time is a big deal. The guy's in very high demand. But I'm going to say, listen, I don't have a budget to pay you, but what I can do is you'd be the only speaker that can sell, that you can sell your offer. And what I'm going to commit to, I will have over 1,000 people live on your call, and I will contractually guarantee it. If I don't have 1,000 people on that line, I will pay you $1,000 for every 100 people that are not there, right? And because I want to make, again, confidence, right? It's him knowing that this guy's going to actually get it done. This guy's going to put the people on. And for him, that's all he cares about. All he cares about is having enough people there. And the fact that I'm going to let him sell, if I've got 1,000 people live, this is a guy that can convert 30, 40% of a room. There's 1,000 people live. He might sell 300, 400 units of something, right? And for him, that could be 30, 40, 50, 60 grand of money in his pocket. So from a risk, I don't have the money to give him that kind of money, but instead I can let him take it off the back. So if you're trying to get your guru, give them an offer they can't refuse. So I'm gonna, position it that way for Tony. I'm going to base my date around Tony. I'm not gonna say, hey man, I've got 2 spots available. I'm gonna go to him first before I plan any of this stuff out. And I'm going to be doing this starting right after Christmas. And I'm going to document the process. I'll share some of the behind the scenes, the letters to the certain people that get them to respond. I mean, just cool stuff like that. So you guys will get to kind of see in action. So I'm going to have, let's say, Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, and then after I have got those guys, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get another like 20 to 25 other people. I'm going to get people at various levels, going to go for big names, and just to fill it up, they're going to be obligated to cross promote, not Tony, but everyone, not Gary or Tony, but other people. And check this out. I'm not selling a course per se. Instead, what I'm doing is my mission with Life on Fire is to go wide. Like my mission is to inspire a lot of people to pursue their dreams, to love what they do, pursue their dreams, to launch their business, to launch your product. And so my goal is to build up a huge list and a big following that way. So I'm not going to sell a $500 product, right? So that's one way to do it. The other way is I'm going to make it completely free to opt in to get this entire Life on Fire Summit. So it's going to be a very juicy offer where someone's going to look at it and say, you kidding me? For putting in my email, I'm going to get to hear Tony Robbins live. Now, this is another thing. Some people do these summits, and I really believe that they take the easy way out and they pre-record all the sessions, and then they just like have them go out at a certain time. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do them live, because why not capitalize on a live audience? So when I do Tony Robbins on on March 5th and I'm emailing about it. We've got everyone's cross promoting it, and people hop on live. We say, all right, guys, the hashtag for the show is Tony on fire. Everyone just tweet that out before we get rolling. Are you guys ready for Tony? Right. So that's going to create a shitload of buzz. Okay. So when you do it live, the other thing is we're going to be able to ask for questions. So I'm going to have my man Ryan hook up, our website page where we'll have a chat role, right? We'll have a chat role and people can ask questions, and then he'll be able to do his thing and sell, but then we'll be able to ask questions after. So it creates a better experience, and that's how I'm going to up level as well. Now the other thing is that when they opt in, so they give their email and they're going to get access to this entire summit, I'm going to take them to what's called the thank you page. The thank you page is going to pop up. It's going to be a video of me saying, hey man, I'm really excited that you just opted in for the Life on Fire Summit. So here's what's next. I've asked some of our top speakers to donate some of their courses and products to create an irresistible offer. And here's why. We've put together some of our top courses and we've created $15,000 worth of products and services that you can get for just $97. And you're going to be able to get the access to the recordings as well. And then I'll explain what some of these programs and products are. Now for $97, what I'm going to explain is that $50 of that 97 is going to go to charity. And guess whose charity it's going to go to? It's going to go to Tony Robbins' charity, right? So whichever, because that's another thing that I can do to go to Tony and say, hey man, how can I make this more advantageous for you, right? So if you think about it, if I've got like 20 different experts and I've got major traffic, the first time I did this when I was brand new in the business, I did 5,500 opt-ins. I know Suzanne looked at me and she said, yeah, you can do way more than 10,000 for sure. And I mean, we can do 3, 4, 5,000 opt-ins just from running our own Facebook ads, never mind all this cross promotion. But what's interesting is if we have 10,000 people that opt in for this live summit because it's free, right? Out of the 10,000 people, statistically speaking, the conversion for an upsell is 20%. That's the take rate. So that would be 2,000 people buying at $97. 2,000 people buying at $97 and 50 goes to charity. What's the math on that? Anyone really, really good at math? 2,000 people times 50 bucks. Just type it in the chat box. See if anyone's paying attention. Okay, no one is paying attention. All right, well that's $100,000.
They're all opening the calculator app on their phone.
Yeah, so 1,000 times 50, yeah, it's 100K, right? So if we had 2,000 people take it at $97, right, times 50 bucks, that'd be $100,000 for freaking charity. That would be ridiculous, right? And remember in the beginning of this presentation, I said it's all about the story, right? Everything you do is about the story. So like when I take on a private, I call them Firestarter Elite clients. I'm from the first moment we start working together, I'm already manufacturing the story in my head. As an example, Shane and Ryan, these guys, like they've got such expertise as a Facebook marketing advertising experts. However, they have literally like 60 people, or no, I think it's up to like 200 people on their list. And the story is how they went from the local market to the national market and how they went from 200 people on their email list to a 6-figure product launch in less than 6 months. And I'm going to help them every single step of the way and help them do that. And so the whole thing is it's all about manufacturing and creating that story because it's the story that sells, right? It's just like news and PR, it's the story that sells. So the cool thing is that as this happens, imagine what's going to happen. There's not a single doubt in my mind that this will be on national news. This will be a national deal. And the reason's because it's entrepreneurs coming together, giving back, even though most of them aren't necessarily doing much for it. It's more of like us and the Life and Fire team putting it all together, but that's not the point. We're happy to spread that around. But this is literally going to be one of these things where, holy crap, these people came out of nowhere and created $100,000 for a charity, like out of nowhere. And the other cool thing is that's 50% of the $97. Where does the other 50 go? Right? Where's that 100K go? And that other 50% I'm going to use, and I'm going to use that for prizes, and the cool thing is that if I don't hit my numbers, if I don't hit my 10,000 opt-ins and my 2,000 sales, then I can ratchet down the prizes accordingly. So I'm going to do like a certain percentage of the volume of revenue that comes in from the upsell, and that will be an actual prize. The first prize might be 20% of the volume. Maybe that's 30 grand or or 20 grand or whatever. So I can make it so that it's safe, that it's low risk for me, but at the end of the day, I can set it all up so that there's very exciting, interesting prizes. The other thing is I want you guys to take a look at this. Imagine if I do this, and for every single speaker, I say, oh, by the way, guys, by being a part of the Life on Fire Summit, you're actually going to be in a full page write up on entrepreneur.com. And now, moving forward for the rest of your life, you can say, as seen on Entrepreneur Magazine, or Success Magazine, or Fast Company Magazine, or Inc. Right? So, how good of an investment is it for Ryan and I and Life on Fire to make, let's say it's, I don't know, however much money it is, to pay for that, and they will be in that advertisement with us, and they can use that in their branding. Now, for Tony Robbins, he's not going to care. Gary Vaynerchuk probably not going to care, but they might like that because it's tangible, and they say, I like this Nick guy. I want to be on his summit. He's doing stuff that's different, right? So I'm giving kind of big examples, but you can use this in your industry. For Lucy with the pets, it might be, there might be some big pet magazine that's like the big deal, and she's like, you're going to be in the spread. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not going to just promise everyone that without them doing stuff. I'm going to say you're all guaranteed to be in the magazine. That's not going to go out until March 15th. But here's the thing, if you don't hit your opt-in numbers and you don't mail, your face isn't going to be in it, right? So that's just another way I can ensure that they actually promote and they do this stuff. So it's a really cool way. Now, it also means that that puts my head in Entrepreneur Magazine too. So, and it will provide traffic, and for everyone there, it's going to provide more people that are going to be on, it's going to provide traffic. More people are going to opt in as a result, and the cool thing about PR is I've done PR back, at a business that failed, and the PR thing was hilarious. I just called the news stations and it worked. So now, I don't know what scared me recently, but I felt like we had to spend all this, spent time with Christina, and she's amazing, and she gave us all the contact info and stuff. But she told me stuff that I already knew, which is for PR, you just call the news stations. So literally last night, we're doing this charity event, and it was like, I don't know why the phone looked so heavy and so scary, and I was literally calling Ryan, trying to find reasons not to. I literally had a freak out, and I'm like, dude, I don't think your emails went out to the PR stations. Maybe I shouldn't call today. And then I just shook myself. I was like, no, I need to do it. I just need to make the call. And I made the calls, and I will probably have more than one news station at our event, in San Diego. And for this event that I've got coming up, why the heck not call the news stations, call local papers? And that's another benefit for your speakers, and it's so easy. And I'm so excited about the PR stuff because it's different, and it's a way to stand out and build your list and build your expertise. So it's super cool. And what was the last point? I think that was just about everything on there. So there's a lot of tidbits there. I mean, I'm kind of ramping through all this pretty fast, but another way that you can go, and the way that you can go through this and add more value to them as well is you give them the ability to promote their free offer on their session. So for example, Amy Porterfield, she's like, what's in it for me? It's like, all right, I'm going to promote the shit out of this. You're going to get a lot of exposure. You're going to get all this good stuff. But Amy, in addition to that, on your session, you can share how they can get in touch with you, right? That adds value for her right off the bat. So, and in the members area, I'm going to put your information there too. Now, so can you guys see how that can really help out for people that, it makes them want to attend, right? Because they're going to get some opt-ins as well, and you're going to share the love a little bit. Now, if I had to, imagine if I went to Tony Robbins and said, dude, Tony, you can sell on the session and you can promote to this list 4 times in the next year, right? I mean, I'll find a way to make this enticing enough for him that he takes it. Now, the last piece that I'm going to share, that this is the the brief moment of creative geniusness I had, which is, I don't even know how this happened, but I was thinking, how am I going to launch the Life on Fire podcast? So I don't want to get too crazy and confuse you guys too much here, but a podcast is something I didn't even realize what they were until recently. But all that means is it's a way to distribute, distribute your content on the iTunes store. So just by literally you having a podcast, you end up as a new and noteworthy podcast and you end up getting a ton of traffic. So even if you stink at podcasting, it's like you're still going to get enough exposure where you might get tens of thousands of downloads. So podcasting is something that we're moving into. We're going to share the details, and I really believe that this is going to be one of the biggest, biggest, most secretive, you know, sources of traffic in 2014 for people that are in like this kind of an industry. And so I want to do like a big launch in there, and I'm like, how am I going to launch the podcast? Well, here's what I'm going to do. My summit, anyone that opts in for the summit, I'm building my email list. That's an asset. And I'm going to sell the $97 charity product. And in addition, I'm going to make sure that they're very clear that I'm going to drip out the replays on my podcast. So when everyone's clamoring and clamoring and clamoring, I need a replay. I missed the Tony one. Yeah, no problem. You can get that. However, the only way you can get it is by downloading my podcast. And then you can get the replay. And oh, by the way, you're going to love a podcast because it syncs directly to your phone. It's actually way easier than like having to handle and like be on a webinar and all this crap. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to have content for my podcast. I'm going to have 20 shows in the can that I can do 3 times a week for X amount of weeks. And I'm going to have so many downloads that I really believe I'm probably going to break the record as far as being like a number one in the business category because I'm going to have such big names involved and I'm going to market the crap out of it. But no matter if you're going to go, as big as I'm going to go, or you're going to go like, hey, I'm just getting started big, doing this summit and attaching the podcast strategy at the end is like beyond marketing gold. And you guys are going to watch me do it. I'm going to document the whole process. Happy to share the details because I seriously, and I don't even care if there's like competitors on this or people that just take the strategy and even do it before me. It doesn't even matter to me because I know that there's so much to go around for everybody. But that little detail of taking your recordings from here and putting them to a podcast is absolute freaking gold. Does that make sense to you guys? As far as because the podcast equals more distribution, and I'm getting a little bit kind of, in the details here. We got like 2 yes. Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. Love it. Cool. Yes, yes. All right, awesome. Because yeah, that podcasting is ridiculous. And to put it in perspective, maybe you guys should go check out John Lee Dumas's podcast called Entrepreneur on Fire and look at his numbers. He publishes his numbers, and the guy's bringing in like 50 something a month. His expenses are like 8 or 6 grand a month, and he's netting like 40 grand a month. He's only been doing it a year. And all he does, he interviews other people. He has nothing complicated about his business at all. He interviews people. So, yeah, podcasting can lead to a very good lifestyle where you could just be interested in something. Lucy with the pets, or Alan with smoothies, or Danielle with lashes and spas and, hairstylists or whatever that is. It's like pick your passion and you could literally interview other people and make crazy, crazy money by doing the right launch. So the results were awesome. With the Facebook Mastery Summit, put me on the map. The steps, getting the anchor. So I went through all this stuff. So this is kind of cool. The one thing so I'm kind of talking through the steps as I went through the stories. One thing I do want to cover really quick, and we'll hop off. We won't be out. We'll wrap this up pretty soon. You definitely want to make sure that you stay on for the end for the survey and for the cool announcements that I'm about to make. But here's the thing. It's fun to think about where the business has gone and where I'm going now and what you guys can do. But it's really important to think about, what how can you harness like energy? Like people are always saying like, Nick, how are you so freaking motivated? Like how are you so like on fire with things? And the answer is really simple. Is that even though when I was at 50 grand in debt and I was completely screwed and I was up against the wall, the thing that fueled me was I was in such a rough place, but I was fueled by thinking about a moment in the past where I was strong, I was powerful, and I was on top of my game and I was on fire. So no matter where you're at in your business or your life now, it's like, what if we were all to literally just jot down right now, what is one moment in your life that you felt completely on fire? I mean, I'm talking about, where you can literally, you get goosebumps thinking about it. It might be you hit the home run in softball and you were the hero and they paraded you around. It might be, you know, your kid, graduating valedictorian in high school or college, or having a kid, or it's a moment that you've never felt really confident, really powerful, empowered. And for me, it was, shoot, I had to pull one from high school because I didn't have any in my 20s, and so when my personal development coach, this Michael Burnoff guy, was asking me about my moment in front of the room, I was like, I don't know, man. I think when I played football. Why is that? I was like, because that was a time in my life where I could do anything I put my mind to. And that was so powerful because I knew when I was in high school, I accomplished something playing football that once I did it, I knew I could do anything I put my mind to. And he's like, well, why are you sucking so bad right now? I'm like, I don't know. I'm failing at things, and everyone's telling me like I should just get a job, and like life is beating me up. And he's like, well, tell me about that time where you felt on top of the world and you were on fire. I was like, well, I was senior years playing football, and I was really angry at like my dad. He wasn't around, and like no one believed in me, and no one thought that I'd ever be good, and I'm not very athletic. I'm the guy that has heart and persistence and believes in myself. I literally, like, whether it's business, whether it's sports, you name it, I'm the guy that just works hard and eventually I get my result. But I'm not fast in football. I couldn't catch. No one thought I would ever play on the field ever. And I looked at it and said, I could let them choose my destiny, or I could just say screw it and prove them wrong. And so, first in the gym, last to leave. And I created a situation where I was so determined that I made it happen. And what's so encouraging about that story for me in my life is that it makes me realize that I can literally do anything I want to. And with that power, there's nothing that can stop you because there's always going to be challenges. Your launch, you may have a server that crashes. When I have a coaching client, they hop on and said, I can't believe I didn't make any sales in my webinar. So freaking what? That's going to happen. But you have to harness that inner fire that's going to pull you forward and pull you past it, right? So my anchor was senior year playing football, and he's like, so tell me what happened. He was like, well, I'm like, I got in the high school hall of fame. There's only 10 people per state in the entire, in the whole country, and they all went on to play like D1 football. And he's like, well, that's awesome, but tell me tell me the play, right? Tell me the moment that gives you goosebumps. I'm like, well, the moment that gives me goosebumps is when, it was at my senior year. It was our town rival game. It was Thanksgiving. It was cold. I can still smell the grass. My buddy's marching around the track, on a float that he built with the headdress from the Raiders, which was my team, name, and he's yelling, Unsworth, you suck. And it was the opening drive, and I had this guy, Jeff Van Gilder, the number one D tackle in the state, head up on me, and they put him on me. I had a torn rotator cuff. I couldn't lift my arm past like my shoulder level, torn ligaments in my back, and I didn't care. I was going to play through the game. Opening drive, I snapped the football. I hit this monster of a human being and put him on his back, and I scream in his face, I effing own you, biatch. Sorry for my language, and I screamed it, so I'm on top of this guy, and meanwhile, we go and score a touchdown. That moment was the culmination of all that hard work, and it literally was this one point where I can look at and say, that's when I was on fire. That's when I knew that I could do anything I put my mind to. And if I wasn't thinking about that every day, I never, ever would have been able to take that leap of faith and spent the money I didn't have to go to the mastermind event, to get the mentor, to learn that I could do it, to choose a niche, to launch a product, to make the decision, to make the phone call to Michael, or make the message to Mike Cannings, get on the phone with the guy. None of any of that would have happened. So the point is that you've got to think about what your moment is. And I'd love for someone to just pop on. And Ryan, do you have a moment like that? What's your life on fire moment, or your moment on fire?
Yeah, I do have a moment like that, and it's kind of a funny story. The event, the personal development event that Nick is talking about, where he was at, where this moment happened for him, was the event where I met Nick. So it's kind of crazy that the creation of his moment was at I met him when mine was as well. So yeah, mine is a sports related one as well. I was a little bit younger at the time, and it's an athletic event, and I was really fast back in the day, and I won five first place in one track meet once. And I still have the awards actually, and it was just nobody in my school had ever done it before. And I was just like on top of the world that day, just unstoppable. And it was like I still remember it, when I got off the bus, the other kids from the other team would be like, "Shit, he's here," and because they knew they were going to lose. So yeah, just that five first place and just standing there with all those awards and knowing like stepping up to the starting line. 100-yard dash was my event, but yeah, just getting down, like crouched in that position, just putting my hands down to the line and getting all crunched up into the blocks, knowing as soon as the gun went off, the race was already over. Yeah, that's my event, or that's my moment, and it fires me up right now just to describe it to you guys. So, for sure, if there's, it doesn't have to be something physical. It doesn't, it's just something that when you can recall it and you can be back in that moment, it's you feel personally powerful, and it's an amazing feeling. So whatever that is for you, it's all about being able to create and recreate that feeling whenever you want to. And I think Nick, I think that's where you were going with the.
Dude, no, that it's a great story, man. I've heard it from you before, and it's like, I mean, just hearing that about you is inspiring, and it's just one of these things where it's life beats us up, and there's things we're all on this line right now. Like we're all here for a reason. Like isn't it because we all kind of want like a better 2014 than we had in 2013? Like we're taking the time out of our day. We could be doing a million other things, but we're here right now to learn something about the product launch and to, so that we can better ourselves for the next year. But there's just always the dream stealers. There's always people that are out there to get you, to like beat you up. And it's like, getting very clear on these moments, because if we don't have a moment right now, or we don't have something that's happened in business today that's, going to give us the fuel, we got to pull it from the past. I think it was Andrea that mentioned something about, she had one of those moments 2 months ago. Now I'm at a point where I've created so much momentum in my life where I'm having one of these moments on such a consistent basis. It's scary, right? It's the up leveling. It's like having the business coach to push me. It's, going from Gary Vaynerchuk to screw it. I'm going to go out and get Tony Robbins. Instantly, she made me better. Instantly. From there, it's like she pushed me to do a 1-day event, and that was one of my moments because I had to show up as a guy and rock the stage at a 1-day event. Never done it before. I looked at it and said, how am I going to grow fast? I said, you know what? I'm going to do a 3-day event. And you know how scary a 3-day event is? This is going to cost us $150,000 when we have to start making payments for it in January. I haven't even told Ryan about any of this yet. Well, he knows about the 3-day event, but not the cost, not the payments. But like, that's a huge nut that we're going to have to pay in January, right? But the thing is that it's going to force the business to grow, going to force me to grow, because that's a launch. That's an event launch is a launch. We've proven we can do it on one event. We have an event January 10th. We're proving it there. But a 3 day is it's a bigger growth moment that if I didn't have a business coach, I never would have been pushed to do that. The other thing is, we're going to walk on hot coals at this event. Now, walking on hot coals, you have to be mentally prepared for, and you have to be led through that process. Now, the thing is, I could have taken the easy way out, and I could have said to my friend Michael Burnoff, "Hey, man, since you're a personal development guru, can you lead that for me?" But instead, I said, you know what? This is going to force me to grow. This is going to force me to be the guy that is capable of doing that, right? And so imagine the growth that's going to happen. So the moral of these stories is that, we want to help you guys take the moments from your past to create inspired action right now. The whole concept of a life on fire is that being on fire is not something that should just be a moment in the past. It's something that should be every fucking day. I wake up in the morning before my alarm clock goes off, no matter how early I set it. Like today I had a flight at 7, I had to be up at 5, like 15. I still woke up at 5.
And no matter, even if, and it sounds bad, but even if I'm really hungover, I still doesn't even matter anymore because I'm so fired up about what I'm doing and I'm taking inspired action. And when you love what it is that you do, and it's not just about you, and it's truly inspired action with purpose, then it's a whole new level of living that I've never even thought was possible. A whole new level of fulfillment that I never even thought was possible. And the reason is because you're driving all this inspiration not from just about you, for other people. So, for example, doing this telesummit and getting the 10,000 opt-ins, it's way bigger than us. Like Ryan and I, we're not like heavily motivated with money. It's more we're motivated by the good that we're going to do. If we can raise 100 grand for charity, that's crazy. Like, our charity event for my birthday this weekend, it's just a small little event, but we've already prepaid the 5,000 bucks for the 100 Kindles. It's about adding the purpose to your business, using those moments of fire in your past, leveraging them to get you to the point where you want to be in the present and in the future. But at the end of the day, it's like we're just building a really bomb community of people that are out taking inspired action and not waiting for some end destination. Not, yay, 3 years from now I'm going to sell a business, then I'm going to be happy. Like, no, screw that. We're going to be happy every single day. Because if you're working your butt off and you're not loving it and you're not, and it feels like work, then you're doing the wrong thing. If money's not flowing into your life, then you're doing the wrong thing. You need a coach to help shake you up and change your vision, change your ideal target market, move things around, take the action, fail forward fast. But, to get that to the point where you're having that inspired life on fire every single day. That's our mission. You can probably hear my passion, Ryan's passion about it. So basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you guys that one of our missions for our 3-day event is to create success stories, because it's not about, okay, great, Nick went from, in debt, broke guy to, this level, then to that level. And that's all good. Like, but it's not about me. I want to be there to be like, holy shit, who's going to keep up with me? Right? Who's going to hang with me? Like, I want to have head to head here, but the thing is that, there's a point where us kind of practicing what we preach is cool, but there's a whole different level of fulfillment, right? The other level of fulfillment is taking, and I'll know that I've built a legacy and I know that I can freaking die happy one day, where it's not about what I've done, it's about how many people can I don't not only help create breakthrough income, but most importantly, live their life on fire, where they love what they do every single day, because then they go out and they start teaching people the same thing. And that's what's so damn cool about it. So, for example, what I taught you guys here tonight with this summit model and using the same thing that I'm teaching, where you guys go and you make some crazy, amazing charity offer like that, and you be different the way that I'm going to be different, and you tie it to charity and you benefit the charity and you get PR and you're different. Can you see how it's not just us raising 100 grand? It could be you raising 100 grand and the next person raising the 100 grand, plus creating revenues and all this good stuff for your business. So we're out and set out our mission. We're obsessing about creating success stories, and we're going to walk the success stories onto not only onto the coals, but onto that stage. And so what we've got set up is we are actively taking applications. We're looking for our 5 elites, and these are our top tier coaching members. So, we're down to have success stories. Even if someone just watched the webinar and goes and does it without any of our coaching help, that's totally cool. But what I'm here to do is to say that if you don't have a business coach, whether it's me or someone else, you've got to get one, because the change in your growth, the change in your business, the time at which it takes you to get from A to Z, from where you want to go, it'll cut it in half, if not a tenth, right? So we're basically, what we're doing is, we're looking for 5 people that want to take that inspired action with us, where we're literally, to some extent, partnering with them. So we're doing all kinds of crazy things. This is not like any other business coach has in the industry. We're actually promoting our success stories together. So when they do their product launch, we're going to get behind it and promote it full blown as well, so that we're going to help ensure that they break the 6-figure mark between now and the actual 3-day event. Now, the other thing is we have another coaching package, which is just fire starters. And this is a program where we've built some phenomenal community. We're over 40 fire starters, and there's all kinds of good stuff going on with them. and we're going to have all of the fire starters at our events, and we're creating crazy, crazy momentum with fire starters, with all the different things that we're doing, from weekly calls to masterminds to exclusive stuff. I'm not going to go into all the details here right now. The purpose of this is I just want to kind of plant the seed, because it's not just the 5. We're going to take tons of people to the finish line between now and the event. But the point is that if you want to take and absolutely crush 2014, and you look at me as a guy who, you see as someone that you trust, that's got heart, that's the kind of person that would not only get in your corner and do everything in his power to help you, but to really help you take that inspired action throughout the process, keep you accountable, and help you get to the finish line. So what I'm going to do is, we've got a survey, and if anyone that fills out the survey, they're going to enter to win those prizes, like the GoPro and the shirts and the glasses and stuff like that. And I want you to fill out the survey and share feedback. We've got a handful of questions in there. And then if you're interested and you're ready to take that next step and ready to get to the next level, and you're ready to, take your business and launch your product, launch your business, share your unique gifts and talents to the world that you have, then, fill out the survey and let us know. And then we're also going to do strategy sessions with you individually. So I've got my entire Saturday blocked off. Ryan's got his Saturday blocked off. And the purpose of those calls, we're going to go through. We're going to work on, might be your ideal target market, might be, which style launch do you want to do. It could be mapping out 2014. Could be, if you want to be one of the 5, you've got to raise your hand. You've got to let us know, because we already have more than 5 applications. We already have Johan, we have Shane and Ryan Skelly, and we have Valerie Shootman already on board, and we have other applications in. And so the cool thing is, we just want to work with people that are the absolute hungriest. And the way you can let us know what you're looking for and how we can best help you is by filling out the survey. So what I'm going to do is pop up the survey screen. And while it's fresh, while it's hot in your mind, just fill it out right now. Fill it out tonight. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the survey, and then we're going to reach it back out to you, and we're going to get you the links so that you can schedule time on Saturday. And what I would say is that no matter what you got going on Saturday, I assure you in 30 minutes we can rock your world, and we can help you map out a total, life and business on fire for 2014. And we're happy to give that time complimentary. And then also for you guys that are interested in our coaching programs, this is something that we are going to be raising the prices after the new year. And my business coach was like, Nick, you're crazy at what you're charging. So that's cool. So we're going to be doing that. So we're going to have, we'll share some details about the specifics on those. But yeah, we're going to be up in the prices. We're already creating some really cool results for people. But the main thing is just filling out the survey. So what we're going to do is, here's basically the survey is all it's is going to enter you to get the opportunity to do one of these 30-minute sessions. Will help you frame up your launch, avoid making disastrous mistakes, and see if you're right for our being on the stage and us partnering with you as a success story. And it's just lifeonfiresurvey.com. And I'll pop that in the chat box. And okay, cool. www.lifeonfire.com. Oh, lifeonfiresurvey.com. Boom. And okay, cool. Here comes the survey. How do I take it? Boom, boom. I love to be involved. Love the idea. I'm in. Where were you before I hired a coach who didn't help me? This is one of those things. The industry is so funny where we've had other coaches kind of jockeying to like steal people from each other. The way we look at it, I don't care who your coach is, because I only have so much time anyway, so I can't help everyone anyway. Now, granted, we'll still do content. We're going to do tons of stuff to help everybody, but there's only so much time in the day, and it's like, whether it's me or someone else, having that high-level coach is phenomenal. Now, group is fantastic. If you can only physically afford so much, group coaching program that we've got is absolutely ridiculous. Like what we've accomplished at the mastermind, like you guys would if you weren't there, it will blow your mind. The ability to take someone in 30 minutes and do a hot seat with the energy of everyone else in the room. I mean, we've had people that have, we've had Jolene left her job. We've had people that have had radical changes or breakthroughs about their business. It's not just about tactics. It's not just the next ad. It's not just, how to, Twitter better. I mean, it's things about, reframe your mindset so that you actually do this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And how to set up your business. The most important aspect, the most important thing that we do is help you make sure that the business that you're in right now is in complete alignment with what your life on fire is. It's like I think about like Danielle Ray, right? She owns a spa, she does lashes, she's got a sweet little niche, but what does her life on fire look like? Is it doing that? Is it in the chair working on lashes with people? Is it leveraged? I mean, we've got some cool exercises on how to be in the right state, but then to dream build and be like, well, what really do you want? What is going to make it so that you don't ever have to worry about being motivated, right? You shouldn't have to worry about being motivated. You should be so damn inspired about your own business that you can't wait to be at it. And if you're not feeling that, then you're not living a life on fire. Then there's something that needs to change, because when you're in that point, it doesn't feel like work. And and we don't want you to work 90 hours a week, but we want you to love work so much that you can get done in 8 hours what takes people 2 days. And you can still pull the plug and be done at certain hour to have fun with loved ones and family and all that good stuff. In 6 minutes I'll be eating dinner, having a beer, and I'll be feel really good because there's a lot of people that have responded that this webinar was awesome. So, all right, so cool. So the link in the chat is incorrect. Oh, did I spell it wrong? Life on Fire survey. Oh, thanks, Ryan.
Yeah,
There we go.
Nope, no worries, guys. I just posted it in there again. Nick is so excited. No. Yeah, if the link doesn't work, just type it in your browser, lifeonfiresurvey.com. If you're having an issue with a particular browser, maybe try a different one, but it definitely does work.
Yeah, and it's super easy what we've got here. I mean, you've just got multiple choice. How committed are you to building your business? What does your dream business look like? I mean, this is really cool stuff to think about. You know, what does your dream business look like? We're at a point where we're about to, enter 2014, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, expecting a different result. And for me, my insanity was in my 20s was going into business, getting a business partner, failing, or doing something on my own and failing. And it wasn't until I took a leap of faith, I joined a mastermind, I invested in myself, and something crazy happens, right? Something really, really interesting happens when you invest in yourself. Like, when I talk about you have to believe in yourself, well, when you believe in yourself and you think about your moment on fire, that's all well and good. And that's a huge, huge part. However, when you take that leap of faith and you hire that coach and you make that decision, it just rewires your subconscious, because you're telling your subconscious that you will make this shit work. I also had my Suzanne, my business coach. She had a really great point. She goes, "You know what the definition of motivation is, Nick?" She goes, "Responsibility. When someone pays, 3 or 5 grand a month for me, they now have to make more money because they're responsible." It's kind of like the sales guy that, the sales manager that goes out and they makes their sales reps go out and get nice flashy cars. Now they have to pay for them. But the thing is that it's, for me, to snap my cycle, I had to take that leap of faith, and I had to pay to go to Evan Pagan's event and be there. And next, things started changing. Now, my next big growth moment was when, I was in a situation. I sold my business or equity in my business, and I was on as the CEO. The vision changed. I had a business partner that is a brilliant, brilliant guy, but he wanted to go more corporate. I was more inspired by entrepreneurs. I got out of alignment. I made a bunch of money from that selling of my business. However, I ended up out of alignment. I thought my dream was to sell a business. I realized that my dream is to just enjoy what I do every day and love it and live a life on fire. So I found myself completely not loving what I was doing, and it became challenging. So if your work is challenging and you're having all kinds of obstacles, you're not in flow. If you have to try and try and try and you're still coming up with nothing, then you're not doing the right thing. And it was such hard work and it wasn't working that well that I realized that, what? This isn't working great. I end up finding Suzanne, and I took that leap of faith and said, "Oh my God, I'm paying her more money than that I could buy like a ridiculous, ridiculous house for what I, paid this woman." And I was like, screw it. And as soon as I did that, sure enough, Guess what happens? I resign. I, um, I dump the rest of my shares. I walk away from over 20 grand a month of net money in my pocket. Net. Just like, boop, here, Nick, here's 20 grand. And I entered into the world of holy crap, I have to fend for myself again and start at scratch. But you know what? Everything came together because I worked with her and I built out my dream business and I was into revenues within the end of the 30 days. And isn't it crazy how I made $42,000 my first month with her? Never would have guessed it. How did I do it? I mean, it was a unique scenario where it was my mastermind group, but we were our task was to pitch the room, and I did. And I had a $3,000 program, and it was an exercise so that she could learn what we're selling and how we sell. And I closed almost every single person in the room, including my business coach, on a Facebook product. And isn't that interesting that I was so scared to take the plunge and wasn't sure how I was going to find the money, and then I friggin' found the money within a month. And isn't it crazy that Shane and Ryan, who desperately want to build and break a six-figure promotion because they know that they can do it, yet they were super nervous to make the plunge and to jump on as a fire starter elite, yet they did. And sure enough, there's clients coming into their lives that they're closing and the money's showing up. So it's funny how things work when you make that investment in yourself. Now, granted, I'm only really just kind of planting the seed about what we got going on. Like if you guys are down for coaching, I mean, this is the time where, you know, I only have so much time in the day. You're catching me at like the most inspired I've ever been in my entire life, and I'm on a complete warpath to help, make people help get you to the six-figure mark. So it's like if you've got something in your mind or something that you want to share, or you're already in business and you're just want to get to that next level, or you want to be pushed, or you want to be up leveled, it's like now is that time. Fill out the survey and just, I mean, hit me up directly, Nick at lifeonfire.com. I'll put my email in there. If you're just like rip roaring and ready to rumble, then you just let me know and I'll hop on the phone with you directly too. Nick at lifeonfire.com is my own email. But I've got the next couple days blocked off just for this. And, and it's, there's no hard selling going on. It's like, tell me about what your dream, tell me about what you want to do, and let me help you make a plan to get there. At the end of that conversation, you want to rock it on your own, I give you the plan, go for it. If you're like, dude, I want to work with you and I've got a bunch of different levels, then we look at it and work at it that way. But at the end of the day, whether it's me or someone else, do it for yourself. Get yourself that business coach and make 2014 literally the best year you've ever had in your entire life. And that will inspire you every day, your loved ones, and everyone around you too. And that's the whole mission. So cool. So we're at the 7-minute mark, and I've got a frosty beverage waiting for me. And Ryan, anything I'm leaving out before we jump for the night? Well, who's fired up? Who's just like
No,
ready
I
for a
think we're good.
kick-ass
If anybody
2014?
has an issue, yeah. If anybody has an issue with the survey, for some reason you cannot get in the survey or whatever, you can email me directly, Ryan, Ryan, at lifeonfire.com, and we'll figure out how to get it taken care of for you, or I'll just email you the questions and you can email them back. One way or the other, we're not going to let little techie things prevent you guys from changing your lives and achieving some monster stuff in 2014. So if there's any
Don't
issues like that, just
don't
yeah.
let the dream stealers get you. It's so funny. Like limiting beliefs are like, it's kind of like just when you're about to have like a growth moment or something cool pop up, it's like then all of a sudden something else pops in your head and it's like, well, I could never do that because of, and then it's like, boom, whatever that other little voice in your head pops up, it's like, that's you trying to keep you small. That's called a limiting belief trying to hold you back. And you know what? It's one of those things where, you know, takes a little bit of that faith to say, you know what, I'm going to make 2014 ridiculous and just go towards the fear. And, it's all about working with someone that you trust, someone that has got heart, and someone that you believe just really cares. Because unfortunately, there's people in this world that don't really care that much. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed the session. I think regardless of whatever happens from here, I'm going to literally take that plan I just showed you, and I'm going to be implementing it right after Christmas. Well, I shouldn't even say right after Christmas. It's actually I already started mapping it all out, and So I shouldn't even say that. That's a bad way to look at it. I am starting it right now, and I'm gonna just have updates. We'll probably do them like in our Life on Fire TV show. We'll probably have updates in email. Just catch up with me on Facebook and just see what's going on. I'm gonna start sharing like a lot of behind the scenes because this strategy, I mean, this worked for me when I first got started, and I'm gonna prove it can work again. And I'm going to also prove with a whole bunch of other people too. That's going to break six figures. So we're going to do some cool stuff. So stay plugged in, stay tuned. We have got some just crazy, crazy cool content coming up. We've got an event January 10th in San Diego, game-changing event in Mastermind. Gary Vaynerchuk in the house for that event. It's just crazy. It's literally just whatever Ryan and I can dream up in our little heads. We're just doing whatever's fun that we want to do, we're doing it. And so that's leading to really cool stuff. So definitely get plugged in, fill out the surveys, do it tonight. And so we want to get on the phone with you guys this weekend. So after that, we're going to unplug, do the holiday thing, and we're just going to be busting into it for 2014. So now's the time to rock the survey. Email Nick at Life on Fire, email Ryan at Life on Fire, and let's get ready to rumble. And you guys have an awesome night. Ryan, thanks for everything. And let's rock it out. Stay on fire. All right, see you guys. Later.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.